Okay, so before we start our next big unit on linear relations, we're just going to go over some information on how we plot information, something we call coordinate information. Okay, so we're going to end up generating some relationships, both through equations, through graphs, through words. So we're going to have a couple different ways to express these things. So by the end of today, I should be able to plot data on a coordinate axis. Okay, so that's our goal. And if you've ever played Battleship, the board game, that's about what we're doing. Okay, so the Cartesian coordinate system, or an XY grid, that's the fancy names, looks like this on the right hand side. Okay, and if you can think of it as two number lines, if you like, that have been put together. One goes right to left and one goes up and down. We do have some common directions that are accepted. So where they cross in the middle is 0, 0. So we call this the X and this is the Y. This is the X-axis right over here. This is the Y-axis. And then as we move to the right, this would be 1, 2, 3, just like a regular number line. These would be -1, -2. Moving to the left, if we go up and down, we would have 1, 2, 3. So positives go up, positives go to the right, negatives go down. So this would be -3, -4, etc. Okay, that's generally how it works. So we'll use our coordinates right here, these XY coordinates. They will tell us whether we move left and right, up and down, and where to plot a point. Okay, so we're going to try a couple. Once you see it in action, it's really quite easy. So X and Y, the key to remember is that X is left and right, Y is up and down. Very important. So if we were to plot A, okay, that's the name of that location, it's at 1, 3. So I'm going to say all of these blocks are worth one value. So if I go to the right 1 and up 3, that is the location of A. Okay, change colors. B is at -4, +6. So that's left 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, up 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that would be B, -4, 6. Okay. C is at -5, -3. So I'm going left 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then down 3, 1, 2, 3. There's C, -5, -3. And then lastly, D is at 7, 0. So we go forward. Let's choose a different color, green. We'll go green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to the right, and then up 0. So we don't have to move off the axes at all. So this becomes 7, 0. That's it. Okay, so we'll take a second here, and if you want to pause it and try and read where these coordinates are, these are 4 new coordinates, and you can try your hand at writing down their location. So pause it here and try and take a read. Okay, so A is to the right 1 and up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So A would be at 1, 6. Remember that these are X and Y's. They're alphabetical, if that helps you remember it. Okay, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4 down. So 7 to the right is positive, and 4 down is -4 in the y-axis, or y direction. Okay, C, now we have to go backwards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this would be -8 because I went to the left, and down -5. Okay, and then lastly, D is down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we did not move in the left to right direction, so it's a 0 for the X and -8 for the Y. Okay, so if you want to pause it here, if you need graph paper, it's posted on the website. You can download it and print it off in Word. So if you could plot these 5 points, that would be awesome. So pause it here. Okay, so I'm going to start. A is at 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's A. B is -6, -1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's B. C is at 8, 0. There's C. D is at 0, -4, so we're not moving left to right, just down. There's D, and E is -5, 0, right there. There's E. Okay, so there's your 5 points. And that's plotting points on a coordinate or Cartesian axis. That's all there is to it. Okay, so that's our first building block for linear relations. We're going to get our minds warmed up a little bit with some of the language. So find the value of y for the given value of x. Okay, so here's the first piece. Y is equal to 3 times the x value. So what we want to try and do is how do we connect the words to some sort of expression? Okay, so if I connect the words here, y, there it is equal, there's the equal sign, 3 times the x value. 3 times the x value. So that tells me that the y value, any y value, is equal to 3 times whatever the given x value is. So if we come over here and I say, hey, the x value is 5, well then you would say the y value that goes with that is 3 times 5, or 15. And then you reread the statement. Y is equal to 3 times the x value, so y is equal to 15 when x is equal to 5. Okay, so let's try one or two more here. Make sure we can kind of map out some of the key words. Y is equal to twice the x value and one more. Okay, so and one more. So we have y is equal, there it is, twice the x value, there it is, and one more. That's the plus 1. Okay, so when x is equal to 3, our y value would be 2 times 3 plus 1. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 more is 7. So when x is 3, the y value in the relationship is 7. Okay, so we're just trying to make some connections on the words. This is an activity that takes several weeks to get used to, so don't panic if you don't get it right away. Y is equal to the negative of the x value and 4 more. Well, that would look something like this. Y is equal to the negative of the x value and 4 more. So if we substitute in when x equals -2, it looks like this. And now we have to be very careful. We have these two negatives together. Okay, and we know that's something we have to be very mindful of. So that becomes +2 plus 4, and then y would equal 6. Okay, so that's just an intro to some of what we're going to be doing. Don't panic if that was a little tricky. Let's take a look at something a little bit more connected to what we can see and discuss. The cost of a banquet at Juan's Banquet Hall is $450 for the room rental, plus $15 for each person served. So create a table of values and a scatter plot to represent the relationship between the number of people and the cost. Okay, so that's a lot to do on the first day. We're going to look at this in sort of big picture, and then as we go over the next few weeks, we're going to look at all of these pieces independently. So if we look at this relationship and we say nobody shows up, you still have to pay $450. Okay, now it's $15 for each person. Now I could have set my table up here to go up by ones, but what I find is the change isn't significant enough, so I'm going to try a little bit bigger number with tens. So if I go up by 10 people and it's $15 a person, that means I'm adding $150 for each group of 10. So my next entry would be $600. That's the 450 plus 150. Okay, and now if I add another 10 people and I jump up to 20 people in attendance, this goes to 750, and then 900, 1050, 1200, and 1350. Okay, and now what I do with this is I take this information and I plot it just like we would with the Cartesian coordinates we looked at earlier, x's and y's. So I call this my x's and these my y's. And we'll talk about something called independent and dependent variables in the near future. This is an overview of what we're going to be doing. So I would take 0, 450 and I would look at my x is 0, and I would go up to 450 and I would put a dot. Then I would go to 10, 600 and put a dot. 2750, put a dot. 3900, put a dot. You're getting the idea. 40, 1050, put a dot. 50, 1200, put a dot, and 60, 1350. Okay, now if you look at that information, you can see there's definitely a trend there. There's a pattern in this information. You can see how it's climbing, and what we'll eventually will call this is a linear relationship. Okay, so I'm just going to pick some colors here, and let's see if we can draw a nice little line on that. And we're going to explore and play with a whole bunch of different things with linear relationships, how the numbers work, how the graph works, how the equation of this works, how the words work. Okay, but that's an overview of where we're going. Okay, and then if you want to try one, this one's for you. So if you want to pause it and take a look at this, you can at least fill in the tables, and then we'll try and draw the picture. Okay, so it says we have this star pattern up along the top here. It says make a table of values and draw a scatter plot comparing the figure number to the number of stars in each figure. Well, figure 1 has 3 stars. Figure 2 has 5 stars. Figure 3 has 7 stars. And figure 4 has 9 stars. Now, if you're observant, you can probably guess the number of stars in the next 2 figures without doing any work or without having to draw those figures. Okay, and what we start to notice, how are these guys changing? Well, we start to see these are all going up by 2s. So if that pattern continues, the next entry should be 11, and then 13. And you're welcome to test this by drawing out the pattern. Okay, you can see a couple different things. You can see these 2s here. They just keep adding on. Okay, so now once we have those values in our table, again, we set up an x and a y value. So I'm going to set those up, and then I'm going to plot those dots. So 1, 3 goes somewhere in here, 2, 5, 3, 7, 4, 9, 5, 11, and lastly 6, 13. And we see, hey, we've got another linear relationship where I've drawn something, all of these guys right here. If I connect the dots, they all connect together. Okay, and we'll explore more of that over the next few days, but that's what we're going to be trying to do. Okay, so a couple questions for you to try to get your brains warmed up for the next unit. Thanks for tuning in.